there's some cool moments in that video that do apply to Warcraft as well. The video is created by a guy called Ian, and it's called How One Obsession Destroyed a Game. And I think there is a lesson to be learned here from Ian and the Starcraft scene. So, guys, let's watch it together. Ian, How One Obsession Destroyed a Game.
Overall, Terran versus Protoss at the absolute highest level of the game. It seems to be a little bit Terran favored. Nidus Swarm Host. It's the most broken thing ever, but he's...
The instant call out to Loco. Ay, ay, ay.
Gold or platinum, so if he does go that, it's probably not, you know, it's probably beatable.
It feels like that there is no Xur composition that can cost efficiently trade. It feels like there is no Xur composition that can consistently be in charge of more bases than the Terran.
I think Liberators are very oppressive in the extra late game versus Protoss. I think it's very hard to get in range with the Liberators. Most importantly, the freaking advanced ballistics.
If we had more content creators, you could do this very same thing for Warcraft as well.
Balance. It's something we all strive for, whether it's in our daily lives, in nature, or in the things we create. In its simplest form, balance is about equilibrium, finding a point where opposite forces are equal, where nothing tips too far in any direction. It sounds simple, but achieving that in practice, whether in real life or anything else, is often a lot more complicated. Take games, for example. Balancing games is crucial. It's what keeps things fair, fun, and competitive. Too much power in the hands of one character, and it can ruin the entire experience for everyone else. Now let's talk about one game in particular that you might have noticed by the visuals of the video, and that's Starcraft 2. For those who don't know, Starcraft 2 is a real-time strategy game that's been around since 2010. At its core, it's pretty simple. You select a race, gather resources, build an army, and just kill the opponent. That's basically it. Or is it? The thing is, beneath all of that simple premise lies a game of infinite complexity. Every decision matters, every strategy, from where you build your structures to when you launch an attack, every move you make and everything you do can change the entire outcome of the match.
This sentence alone is already important to remember. That decisions matter.
And as you dive deeper into StarCraft 2, you start realizing that all of that little choices aren't just influenced by how you're playing, but by how your opponent is playing too. And that goes not only from the strategy they're implementing, but also from the race they're choosing to play. The way you approach a Terran player will be completely different than how you play against a Zerg or a Protoss. The units they have, the way they expand, the timing of their attacks, all of it forces you to adapt, and suddenly, what worked in one match might not work in the next one. But here where it starts to get interesting. With the way that these three races are designed, as much as it makes the game more fun to watch or even play, it leads us to a problem. The complexity between each race and each matchup can a lot of times, let's say, intrigue some players.
Feels familiar?
Imagine this. You're playing Protoss. You spent the last several minutes constructing a powerful, high-tech army. Colossi, Immortals, Archons. It is an intimidating force, but it's also slow. Every step forward feels intentional, calculated. But then, out of nowhere, a swarm of Zerg units catches you unprepared, and your army caught in a bad position melts away before you even have the time to react. It's not just frustrating, it feels unfair.
Like, what do you even do?
That is, of course, a lot more extreme in StarCraft than it is in Warcraft, but, you know, let's say if your timing gets delayed, it can be a very... Like, let's say you want to go for a destroyer push, but you're a little bit late and all of a sudden there's 5 towers that weren't there 10 seconds ago.
Game is so shit, bro. This game is so shit.
Now let's flip the scenario. In your Desert player, you've been constantly attacking the Protoss, trying to find a weakness in his playstyle, attacking in multiple angles, harassing with your units, just trying to get his attention away so you can strike with everything you've got. And so you do it. You don't expect him to have much to defend. He's been on a low economy for the entire game. There's no way he'll be able to hold your push. You're screwed, man.
Wait, how do they do it so the MMR goes up? I don't know how to do that in my ladder games.
If you take a look at many patch notes, you'll see that the changes are almost always very subtle and minor, just adding one number or another. Sometimes there are big changes like
It's so mean, man. Exposing the biased StarCraft 2 Balance Council. Feels like it probably... I don't really know how the Balance Council worked, but it was probably unpaid people who gave opinions, right? Exposing the biased Balance Council. That feels very clickbaity and a bit malicious. But maybe I just don't have enough info on it. But as someone who is on the receiving end of similar Reddit threads, I feel for the Balance Council.
and minor, just adding one number or another. Sometimes there are big changes like this design is a little of micro changes. That's because StarCraft 2 Balance is prioritized for high-level players and is noticing. However, StarCraft 2 is noticing.
When someone plays a game of Starcraft 2, it's all too common to see them just rage, scream, beat the hell out of their keyboards, and later cry on Reddit about the game being unbalanced. But interestingly, they're not entirely wrong. Starcraft is a hard game, there's no question about that, but still, the difficulty alone does not explain everything. In a way, I don't think skill is everything needed to win a game, or a series, or a tournament of Starcraft 2. In fact, I say it's just a fraction. You'll see when you watch two seemingly evenly matched players face off in a series, it's quite common to see one player win the first game and then the other win the next. The victories are often erratic, with no consistent dominance by a single player, though there
That's also what I said a lot of times during the Super League. How many games there were 3-2s, 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 3-2s. But of course, due to simplicity of arguments, you only take the series win most of the time and not the map score.
There are exceptions, of course, which we'll address later. Let's talk about the series, for instance. Just by looking at the results, it's pretty obvious that these two players are on the same level.
Can basically exchange that by Happy 40. We've just seen it with 40 Kaho, 4-3, 3-4.
It's weird, however, how that equality rarely translates to predictable results.
Did Zero win just because he's better? If he's actually better, why did Clem win for a game?
The Warcraft community in the past 2 months. This segment right here.
Did Clem or Zero just get better?
Every match seems completely volatile. Skill does not determine the result of any game. Fractions and fractions of factors overshadow raw talent. Unevenly distributed opponents shatter the original basis of every match, all for the purpose of...
Yes, I feel you! Deep in my heart, I feel it.
If balance were truly the only essence of this game, I doubt it would be played at all. Not a single soul, or at least not a sane one, would willingly sit through the same match over and over again. The build orders would repeat, the unit compositions would repeat, the spells, the races, the strategies, everything would blur into a loop of symmetry. Although micro, macro, scouting, and build orders make up a great part of this game, we cannot overstate these factors. There's more to it. If you're asking for a game where skill is the only variable, it effectively becomes a constant, and in such scenario, one player would either win, lose, or somehow draw every single match of every series. Chasing the perfect balance in a game that can never be balanced is stupid. The point isn't precision, it's excitement. So rather than obsessing over fairness, we should ask ourselves, what makes this game worth playing? Maybe it's the chaos, maybe it's the edge cases, maybe it's the part where you think you've lost and then somehow you don't. Maybe it's the kind of imbalance that doesn't ruin the game, but gives it a flavor. The thing is, we don't really get to explore that, because the people who can change the game aren't asking that question.
And we should also ask ourselves more, what's the where's the fun? What makes it fun? Of course, you can look at fun from two perspectives, right? What makes it fun and what is frustrating, so it ruins the fun. So you come to that from two ends. And imbalanced stuff can be frustrating, like a keeper was frustrating, like a super oppressive crippler was frustrating, etc., etc. But I think being very obsessed with perfect balance and perfect statistics, and we need 4 races in the top 4, and we need 50-50 win rates between all races. The scene is very obsessed, or the Starcraft scene apparently as well. Warcraft scene very obsessed with like perfect stats, but even if you have perfect stats, then the other guy comes in and saying, yeah, but Happy is obviously better than Kaho. Should this be 50-50? How do you measure that? And then we get back to this scene here, where everything is just in a constant loop of argument against argument against argument, and everybody has a different perspective, and all of a sudden the screen is super cluttered with people yelling at each other, and that's a Reddit thread, and then this Reddit thread becomes too big, so we have another Reddit thread with a person who has a different approach or a different idea about a different matchup, and then everything starts anew, but over a different matchup, and then it goes all back in circles, and it's just exhausting.
But if there is something I want you to realize after watching this entire video, it is that we still are players, and we still hold larger power than we all pretend to hold. We can still make our experience enjoyable if we choose to claim it. If instead of playing ladder as if it were the world finals, we invent challenges of our own. If instead of pretending 1v1 is the only game mode there is, we finally play the forgotten Archon mode with our friends. If instead of analyzing our replays as if we were pro gamers, we let our mistakes shape the unpredictability that makes this game such a fun one. Maybe instead of dwelling on our lack of APM to spend the 1000 minerals we have at the 5th minute mark, we let Loco make fun of it.
The second Loco call out, man, that's really evil.
So, perhaps the next time you catch yourself grumbling about balance, maybe try to remember what made you love the game in the first place.
Yeah. For playing, I have the same. Like, I don't give a fuck about pro build matchups and like build orders and stuff. I just thrive to get a pit lord and hack and slay through enemy armies with my pit lord, and that's my fun of playing. And if I get an extra with necromancers and frenzy on top, that's a bonus. But yeah, I feel like it's a very overblown discussion, this balance topic and the balance obsession. Watching replays, look what went right, what went bad, what can I do against this build order, that's the fun. Everybody finds their own fun.